first guesses, I said it at the time. Keep Sam Darnold. You should have drafted, if you stayed at 2, Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. I said it at the time, Kyle Pitts. Those are the 3 names I mentioned. Or trade back, and these were first guesses, okay? Not just to read and react to who was picked. I said Chase, I said Smith, I said Pitts, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, Waddle. These were all guys that I loved for the Jets in moment at the time. Look, J.C. Horn went in the top 10. I didn't mention his name, but this was an incredible draft. Non-quarterbacks. And the fact that Joe Douglas was obsessed with Zach Wilson, who wasn't great in college. I don't give a damn what he did at the combine. I don't care how he looked throwing against air. This was completely absurd, beyond absurd, and never admitted the mistake. You know, the Niners, gave up the bushel of picks for Trey Lance, couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. They got rid of him. They not only kept Zach Wilson, they doubled down on, Zach's going to learn from Aaron Rodgers. When you had Aaron Rodgers at the time coming off a thumb injury last year in Green Bay, needed a backup quarterback. They kept Wilson until Rodgers, bad luck, goes down on the 4th play from scrimmage for the Jets on opening night against Buffalo in 2023, and they stayed with Zach Wilson. If he would have brought back in Joe Flacco or Carson Wentz or, brought in Ryan Tannehill or whatever it was, the Jets' defense was amazing last year, and they could have made the playoffs. He also, let's be honest, they obviously kept, not admitting the mistake with Zach Wilson, doubling down on it, which was ego and just absolutely crazy. I mean, it was insane that he hired Robert Saleh in the first place. He made the Reddick deal and didn't have a contract. Becton over Wirfs as an offensive tackle. That was a complete and utter disaster. And boy, this season for the Jets, an absolute disgrace. And I want you to take a look when you look at the Jets' schedule, right? Of all these games, could have, would have, should have. Bo Nix, negative yards, and they found a way to lose that game. And, of course, the Buffalo game after they fired Robert Saleh, should have won that game. Had the lead against Pittsburgh, and then the Jacoby Brissett disaster. And, of course, the ultimate nail in the coffin, Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson. Can't make that up. But look at the preseason win total, 10.5. Vegas loved the Jets. I love the Jets. Joe Douglas put together a good roster with a lot of good players, but the issues with head coach, quarterback, absolutely atrocious. I'm fascinated to see what's next. They obviously have a terrible, meddlesome owner. If you have options, you never consider the Jets. If you're Ben Johnson, you're not going to be the next coach of the Jets. They need to find a general manager who can tune out the noise, see if you can get full autonomy, a no-nonsense head coach. The New York Jets, I thought this season would prove that same old Jets dead and buried, not even close to being the case. Instead, it's Joe Douglas, it's Robert Saleh, it's the Jets season that is defunct, and we're not even at Thanksgiving. Let's get into the Monday Night Football game from last night, and the Houston Texans knocked the stuffing out of the Dallas Cowboys. And every single time the Dallas Cowboys play football, it's a new low. It's an embarrassment. Joe Mixon ran wild, as we predicted, 109 yards, 3 touchdowns, and C.J. Stroud didn't throw a touchdown. Rock steady, was 8 of 8 on play action. Nico Collins returned, and this was a really good victory for the Houston Texans, and more garbage and slop and nonsense from Dallas. And I can't look at Cooper Rush ever again. I didn't make the trade for Trey Lance. Gave up a 4th-round pick. I mean, we might want to see him, right? The running back room for Dallas is the worst in the NFL, bar none, and that was the case before the season. Mike McCarthy's in a lame duck season. I don't blame Mike for the garbage and nonsense this year. Having said that, Mike, I would not have taken the points off the board in the Brandon Aubrey bomb field goal from 65 yards. It was only 20-10 at the time. Make it 20-13, and then it's demoralizing when the opposing kicker makes a 65-yard field goal. I would have never taken the points off the board. Okay, you did. 4th down, drive stalls. Kick the field goal. Get it within 1 score. Put the pressure on the Houston Texans. That was crazy talk. And the Cowboys are a disaster. We'll see if Deion Sanders or Bill Belichick wants that job next year. It's Mike I feel bad for. but he's not going to be the Cowboys coach. He doesn't have a contract past this year. Texans are interesting, and Houston obviously won the game. Obviously, everyone focuses on the zaniness and negativity and how poor the Cowboys were in terms of being put together. Texans have a couple of bad teams coming up with the Tennessee Titans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and an opportunity to get to 9-4. It's interesting, though. They have the Chiefs and they have the Ravens, and I don't view this team as a champion.